So this is a DSi XL Super Mario Brothers 25th Anniversary Edition. Shell serial number 44. Shell serial number WW432271450. I'm just going to quickly go over why I gave it the condition score that I did. So the physical condition of the shell, I gave a 2 out of 3. This glossy shell, actually, it's in very good shape. It's a lot of, like, as I probe my light around it, yeah, it's covered in just the normal light scratches, but this is a glossy shell piece. That's to be expected. There's nothing really major that sticks out to me. There's no big scratches or really any gashes on the shell. There's just the normal sort of line of wear around the edges of the glossy screen, and then just like the normal light scratches all throughout. Around the hinges, there's just wear, just a little bit of discoloration. And you'll notice very quickly that there's something going on right here. Now, I'm not really entirely sure what happened, but it almost looks like this piece was like pried up, like somebody shoved something in there and was like prying. Now, there's no damage to the shell. There's no cracks. There's no reason for me to assume that the integrity of the shell is lessened because of this damage. It's just it flares up a little more than it should. So that's why I'm deciding to use this shell piece. Because other than that, the interior portion of that shell piece, which it's actually part of the inner shell piece, is in good shape. The other side, you can kind of see as a contrast, it's not as flared up. So I'm going to sort of nail that as a more of a quirk. Again, there's no damage, it's not cracked, and it shouldn't just immediately come apart at any point. So I'm just calling it a cosmetic perk. Or not perk, but quirk, rather. The edges of the shell have a little bit of damage. There's a mark above the SD card slot cover. There's some discoloration here on the corners. As I sort of probe around, this face looks really good. Some discoloration right there. Or just like paint chipping off, which you just kind of expect through normal wear. Back of the shell looks in very good shape. There's just some wear around each of the edges below the shoulder buttons, just along the edges. Sort of little scratches here and there. But other than that, this back shell is in very good shape. Face shell pieces. This is the face shell that I was talking about. This one's in really good shape. There's like a mark right there. It's going to be a little hard to see. The face buttons have a little bit of discoloration around them. Those are more or less, from what I can tell, just from normal use. It's a little more prominent on the D-pad. Just some discoloration on the right and then right above the left. Not so bad on the face buttons. The physical condition of the hardware, I gave a 0 out of 3. So I'll get to why here in a moment, but the R and the L button have a little bit of damage, again, just from normal use, just being banged about. The other face buttons are in good shape, except for the D-pad. Now, this will be a little hard to see, but the D-pad's actually cracked in 2 spots. You can see sort of that Y crack right there. I'll just kind of outline it here with my pry tool. So why I decided not to replace it and use it is because this button works fine. The button, or the D-pad button, or this piece, not technically the button, but the D-pad itself isn't, it isn't in pieces. It's still one whole piece. but it is just cracked. And as I actuate it, it's not like only a piece of it is. It's a little hard for me to explain. I've never seen this before. I don't know how on earth this happened. But the D-pad works fine. I wasn't able to feel it with my ungloved hand, like the actual crack itself. Like, I didn't even notice it until I started going through my final testing protocol. So that's why I decided to keep it. But I will automatically fail the hardware condition based on just that. Shouldn't get any worse. And I've sort of concluded that the only way to actually destroy the D-pad, like actually permanently break it, is if you try. You would really have to intentionally break it. Which I figured, like, that's how that may have that happened in the first place. It was intentionally broken. It's odd. I gave it a 0 out of 3 just to sort of compensate for that. The physical condition of the screens, I gave a perfect score, 3 out of 3. Now, any specs are just because I'm in a dusty environment. Both screens are in very good shape. I did note one spec below the touch screen, or one spec below the top screen. It's that guy right there. Everything else is just above it. And there is some like material right here, right at the top of the touch screen. That was due to me putting on the screen protector. That's just part of the screen protector. That was just a failed attempt, and the screen protector is a little bit off. I'm not counting that as part of the screens, since it is a screen protector. It's optional, it can't be removed. But you can't see that top screen spec when the console's on, nor can you see this stuff under the screen protector when the console's on. For the physical, or for the screen condition, let me turn off my lights here. Screens are in good shape. Top screen's definitely a little more blue. Let me go back to that white screen. Now, why I don't believe this is that big of a deal is because once you start playing games on it, unless you're very sensitive to the just variance in screen colors, you won't see it once you start playing a game. So because that's only very mildly more blue than the bottom screen doesn't have any issues that I can detect, no yellowing of any type. I gave it a 2 out of 3. So that is why I gave it the condition score that I did.